And I know today is money day on PFTPM, but there ain't a lot going on. This is a good time to talk about this, and this is a good time to kind of reset the way we think about the league. Before we get pissed off at the players who are going to be getting contracts in the next few weeks, let's remember the people who hold the pink slips are holding a shitload, sorry, Kristen, of cash, and it keeps going up and up and up. So salary cap rising means more money for the owners. Portions of the teams being sold at $9 billion valuations, potentially, more money for the owners. So, how else do the owners get more money? Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Governor, congressional delegations, taxpayers. You know, our stadium doesn't compare well to the other stadiums out there. All of those fancy schmancy new stadiums, they're making us look bad. Our stadium's obsolete, and we've explored renovating. Here are the costs. Here are the costs. Look, we've prepared a report. An independent consultant has prepared a report. Here are the costs of renovating the stadium. Here are the costs of maintaining the stadium. Wouldn't it just make more sense to build a new one? See, you present it in a way that somebody else is the one that says, well, we should just build a new one. Well, look at what it's going to cost to renovate it. Look at what it's going to cost for upkeep. We should just build a new one. The Texans are the latest team to be exploring the possibility of a new stadium. Now, they've already got NRG Stadium in Houston, right next door to the Astrodome, which is still standing. It hasn't been used in years, and it's still there. So they've got this thing going. It's like Monument Park. It's stadium farm / stadium graveyard. I say build a third one and leave the other two up. Let's see how long we can go. 500 years from now, when the aliens finally take over, or sooner. I'm starting to root for the aliens, frankly. But please come save us. But 500 years from now, maybe there'll be 20 of them. And in Houston, the reason the Texans are there is because 30 years ago, the Oilers wanted a new stadium. They didn't get the public money they were looking for, so they hit the road to Nashville, where they were more than happy to make a stadium available with taxpayer money. And in came the Texans 7 years later, and now they got their stadium and 20 plus years into the existence of that stadium. Think about that. You have a piece of property for 20 years. You use it 10 days out of the year, and all of a sudden it's obsolete. It's only obsolete because this game keeps playing out. You get enough new stadiums that have all the bells and whistles and new technologies and all these advancements, all of a sudden, your place doesn't look too good. And then the new stadiums become the leverage for old stadiums to become new stadiums, and it just keeps rolling. It's like row your boat. It just keeps going and going and going into the future. And inevitably, that new stadium that was just built is going to be obsolete in comparison to all the others that were built because the new stadiums made theirs look bad. And it just keeps going and going and going, which is fine if the ultra rich are the ones, when somebody really rich shows up in town and buys a lot and there's a house on it that's perfectly fine, but they really want to flex. This is the ultimate flex. We're buying that house, which is perfectly fine, and we're tearing it down. And we're building a new house on that spot. That is the flex. Just do that, Cal McNair. Tear down NRG Stadium, or better yet, tear down the Astrodome and build the new Texan Stadium there. Or you can apply that logic to any of the other teams that are currently looking for a new stadium. And I said a few minutes ago, I'm glad I remembered the Broncos and what they sold for, because they're on the list that I put together, and I forgot to put them on the list. I tried to make a list of all the teams that are currently jostling to some degree or another for a new stadium. Because at first I thought, okay, well, the Texans join, 2 or 3 others. No, it's not 2 or 3 others. And this is a broad list, and this is based upon active efforts to get a new stadium or renovate a new stadium, but that might lead to the natural conclusion that we should just build a new one for what it's going to cost to renovate. Or I've seen reports in the not too distant past suggesting that the time has come to explore a new stadium. So we've got the Texans. We've got the Broncos. We've got the Browns. We know about the Browns effort. It's already spawned litigation, and there's this effort to move the Browns to the suburbs in Brook Park and build a dome stadium, and Cleveland has activated the Art Modell law to keep the team in town or give somebody else who will keep the team in town a chance to buy it. So we got the Browns, Commanders, Bears, Bengals, Chiefs, Eagles. I've seen reports that it's time to start thinking about a replacement to Lincoln Financial Field. Panthers, David Tepper. We've seen enough to believe that it's just a matter of time before they do something there. And I throw in the Saints just because I feel like the league is going to put pressure on the Saints to build a new stadium, even though the Superdome is perfectly fine. I was there a week and a half ago. It's perfectly fine. It's been renovated, retrofitted. Others have gone through multiple new stadiums with taxpayer handouts since the Superdome was built. And the Superdome is still standing. But hey, that Super Bowl is a pretty nice event in New Orleans. It'd be a shame if you don't get any more Super Bowls. It'd be a shame if, because we can't keep coming back to this obsolete, outdated stadium. We got too many state-of-the-art venues out there where we can do the Super Bowl. So, it's your decision. We're not telling you need a new stadium. We're just telling you if you want to keep hosting Super Bowls, you better think about updating and replacing your current stadium. And this just keeps going and going and going. I mentioned the Commanders. One of the things I've been meaning to write this week, there was an item in the Washington Times regarding the reality. And remember when the bill first was gaining steam to grant authority over the site of the old RFK Stadium to the District of Columbia, a 99-year lease where DC can take it and do whatever it wants. Elon Musk chimed in, no taxpayer money should go to this project. And he was correctly fact-checked. No taxpayer money was going to this effort to basically say, hey, here's an empty, vacant stadium on a specific number of acres in DC. It's sitting there. There's no money coming from it. It's just there. Let's just give it to DC and let them see what they can do. That part doesn't entail taxpayer money, but, and people got mad at me for pointing out facts. I don't care about politics as much as I care about facts. And I've learned that on both sides of the aisle, politics really don't care about facts anymore, which leads to the fact that a lot of people are just kind of checking out. But the fact is, the Commanders aren't going to move into a new stadium at the site of RFK and pay for it all themselves. They're not going to do it. And the item in the Washington Times focuses on the reality. And look at what's happening. It's all about slashing costs, slashing costs, slashing costs. Do you really think in the current political climate, they're going to devote a single dollar of taxpayer money to a stadium in DC? Hell no. Now, maybe the option to build in DC gets you a better deal in Maryland, or maybe even Virginia comes to the table. But this is where we are politically. The will of the people over the past 15 years is currently reflected in the attitudes of those who are governing on that point. I don't know on how many others, and it depends upon who you talk to, but for the most part, there has been over the past 15 years a strong appetite against using public money to finance stadiums. And it gets harder and harder to justify it as we see how much more money the teams are making and how the values of the teams are going up. At some point, people have to say, pay for your own damn stadium. I got to pay for my own house. The government doesn't pay for part of my house just because I know the right people and I said, pretty please. So I think all those teams I listed are going to have issues. They're going to have problems. And really the only way you can pull it off, we've been saying this for years, if you put it on a ballot, you're going to fail. The Chiefs found that out the hard way last year. If the Chiefs can't get enough public support in their home area after winning 2 straight Super Bowls and having the biggest star currently in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes, and then you couple that with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, if you can't ride that to a winning vote, to just continue to allow a very small percentage sales tax to exist, if you can't do that, none of these is ever going to pass at the ballot box. What you've got to do is you got to come up with a way to work the levers of government to get the politicians who don't want to be the ones who lost the team to another city. Oh, God, I can't have that on my shoulders. All right, let's find a way to move the money around and the voters don't have to know about it. And I'd rather face a challenger in the future who says, you devoted taxpayer money to the stadium, than a challenger in the future who says, you're the reason why the team left. I still think the mood continues to shift away, and it may just be a matter of time that the governors and the mayors and the county commissioners or anyone else who would face at the next election losing the team as a talking point, maybe get to the point where they don't care. And look, the fact that some NFL owners do own their own stadiums, it tells you they all can if they want to. But they keep coming back to the trough of taxpayer money because they can. If you can pull it off, go for it. Rich people didn't get really rich by being stupid. If there's some government program out there that's going to give you free money, hell yes. The challenge is on the government to turn off that faucet.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.